Psalm 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near you, your dwelling. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.
And we want to welcome all of His Glory Nation from east to west to north to south. Welcome to today's Take 5. It's time for Andrew and Bo. Good to be back. Bo, it's explosive.
Yeah, it really is exciting. You know, we've played prophecies of Kim Clement in the past. We've watched things happen on this earth, specifically April 21. We saw the death of the Pope. That was beginning the removal of the spirit of Pythos. That's the bondage that humanity's been under. And now, wow, we've got Trump in the Middle East. And this is explosive because you got to understand, you know, the deals that he's doing. We'll get into all the details, but specifically, this is very critical because it's about the petrodollar. And I know Andrew's probably going to have a lot to say about this as well, too. But the petrodollar contract, we have to understand it's 50 years. Saudis refused to re-sign the contract last year on the 9th of on the 9th of June, year 2024. They refused to sign that contract. So there's much to say about this. And then the BRICS has put out a formal invitation, and they've been asking Saudis to join the BRICS. Now, this is very important to understand because the BRICS is an allegiance and alliance against the United States. And guess what just happened yesterday? This is incredible. Saudi signed a deal with Trump. In other words, they said in one way, shape, or another, no thank you to the BRICS. This is critical what's going down. So, Andrew, what are your thoughts on all this?
I mean, I think that this shows that what Trump is doing. We've been talking that he would one up what the BRICS nations have been doing. That's what our hypothesis was in looking at what the BRICS goal is, which is to de-dollarize the entire globe. We're doing exactly that. He's actually pulling back some of the people or some of the countries that were going to the other side. And I still think we're going gold backed. I really do. It's I do believe that this truly is a golden era. I think that President Trump is laying out the framework for us to actually one up the BRICS nations and coming out with our own gold backed digital currency.
Fully agree. This is, like we've always said, right? The rise of the BRICS, and I know so many podcasters have been out there talking about, you know, how the BRICS is opposite the dollar, how great of a thing that is. Now, understand, the BRICS is the globalist plan. BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, here it is, China, South Africa. China is leading all of this because their multi-hundred-year plan is world domination. Period. And if they could implement the BRICS, which is specifically a system of finance outside what we do here in the United States. Again, I'm not saying the Federal Reserve is good. I'm saying that got my whole thoughts about the Federal Reserve because of what they've done. They create money out of thin air. But now this is a very interesting time point. Because the BRICS, should they come to power, and I know for a fact several prophets have stated the BRICS will fall. The BRICS will fall. What does that mean? It means the BRICS plan will collapse. The plan of the BRICS was to dethrone the U.S. dollar and then bring on their currency, which ultimately would, the BRICS specifically, that entire system was what's going on in China, which is, every transaction is tracked, monitored. You don't say something correct based on their algorithms. They pull your plug. They shut your finances down. It's a full-on digital control system. And so it's fascinating that we've got Trump in Middle East right now with, most important, his first visit was with Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
That's the wild part, because the contract with Kissinger of 1974 was with Saudi Arabia. The reason Saudis are so extremely wealthy right now, that's why Trump even said, he was joking with the prince there that he didn't want to say that they're the world's financial superpower. He goes, I don't want to go there with you on that one, because they've got so much money, because the contract was very specific. We give you military protection and you sell your oil in only U.S. dollar denominated bonds. And so it's a fantastic string of events that are happening right now, because this is May as we're heading into June. So June 8th, Pentecost, would be the completion of the 50th year of the Kissinger contract. So Saudis refused to re-sign at the start of the 50th year. And just yesterday, they now have agreed to go to contract. They've gone in contract with Trump. So who knows the details of all of that? But let me tell you, this is epic what's going down now, because Saudis, if they had joined the BRICS, this would have been the collapse of the U.S. system, and ultimately the BRICS would have grabbed control of the world. But the EU nations actually intentionally, I just Googled this and looked into it, none of the EU nations have actually joined the BRICS, and the key one would have been the Saudis, and they were only thinking about it. That was a text that was Saudi Arabia sits on the fence over BRICS with an eye on vital ties with the United States. And that was dated May 8th. So they were sitting on the fence, and suddenly yesterday, the 13th, which I find interesting, that from the day they arrested Trump, and that's when they gave Saudis the offer to join the BRICS. It was on August 24th, 2023. So I like the math on this stuff. It's kind of fun. But if you pull this chart up, this is what the Lord revealed to me yesterday about what's going on. So if you look at this, it's pretty fascinating, because you've got on August 24th, 2023, and Pastor Dave, you and I were in Vegas at the Clay Clark. I'm sure Andrew was there too. Brian, I'm sure you're there too. We were all in Vegas at the Reawaken America tour on this date. This was when Trump was arrested, the mugshot. And this is the same day that Saudis, the EU, and Iran, among the 6 countries which were invited to join the BRICS. But none of them actually joined. They were invited on the same day. It's fascinating. 20 months and 20 days. So 20 days, 20 months, 20 days later to the exact day, which is yesterday, Saudis sign a deal with Trump. So all of this is showing that this is going to lead to the demise of the BRICS plan. And when the BRICS plan blows up in their face, what's about to happen is Trump's going to be in office with his friends, all of his United Emirates friends, everybody over at the EU, which he's making good friends with right now. They're all going to stand in unison to support the United States. And, the saying is, my enemy's enemy is my friend, right? So this is an incredible alliance right now that Trump is setting up with the EU nations to be the backbone of finance for the United States. This is historic what's going down, and the time point could not be more crazy, because as Pastor Dave, myself, and Andrew speak today is the 14th of May. Well, 77 years ago to this exact day, Israel was proclaimed a state. 700 days before that to the exact day Trump was born. So think about that. 700 days from Trump's birth, Israel's declared a state. 77 years later to the exact day is today. And then Trump just happens to be in Saudi Arabia, United Emirates, making deals to solidify the stability of the United States. This is an incredible biblical time point that we're sitting in right now. And only thing after this is we're going to go to chaos. It's going to get wild.
Yep.
They're not going to allow the dollar to be dethroned, so this is going to get ugly. It's going to get really ugly. And then suddenly we will hear the sounds of great victory. So this is a very, very wild time point that we're sitting in right now. So I'm really excited to watch the fireworks, how this is going to play out. Andrew, what are your thoughts on, furthermore, with what's going on with the EU and Pastor Dave as well, too? What are you guys thinking?
Well, I think we're warmed up for the chaos. I think we've been in chaos for the last 2 months when all these tariffs were first threatened and introduced. So now we're seeing what the game plan was and how this was really a great move. But you throwing out all these dates and talking about Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates made me Google back when, and I'm sure we talked about this, on December 6th and December 7th of 2023, Putin visited the exact same spots. He went to Saudi Arabia, met with the big leaders there, and met with the royal family in Dubai. And I just remember seeing the swagger that Putin had, chest out, looking strong, out there making deals with the Middle East. And I felt a little bit envious that they had a leader that was as strong as he is, and we were stuck with a guy who is fading in and out every time he has a speech. And here we are on the flip side of that. And we have exactly the same thing as what Russia sent to the same spots back in December of 2023. And it just shows that we are winning the war, because if Putin was able to solidify these same deals back then, we wouldn't have had those meetings now. So it is epic what you're talking about, Bo, and it's made us feel really safe here. It's had a positive response to the traditional investments. People are buying homes again. I'm seeing people go into stocks. I'm seeing people go into cryptocurrency. We saw Bitcoin. It's flirting with the all-time high. I just would like to point out that this doesn't mean that we're done with gold and silver. We're not done with it. Most of the world didn't even know about BRICS, or I should say most of the United States didn't even know about BRICS unless they happened to tune in to our podcasts and hear about it. Never once did you hear about BRICS on the mainstream media or any local news that I know of. And they've not talked about replacing the US dollar or any of the other fiat currencies out there. It's only on shows like this where you can get the real news that's not being censored that you can see that. But the banks are still in trouble. Okay, there's still a million reasons out there of why you need to own gold and silver. So this 10% pullback on gold from the high is just another opportunity for people to get back in. So for me, I wouldn't sell my gold for anything out there. We always talk about this. If you do sell your gold and silver, you're selling it for greenbacks. My gold and silver, to me, are worth more than greenbacks or any currency from any other country out there. So for now, I'm sitting put, but it is great to see that we're on the right path. And like Bo said, there's more chaos ahead. So you're going to want to have gold and silver to help protect you from that.
Yeah, there is more chaos. A couple prophetic voices on His Glory have said the same thing, that, we think we're out of the woods, but they're going to respond. And they both said, and they didn't talk to each other about these prophetic words, that they see a crash coming. It's going to get chaotic. And then the golden age will come up with, specifically crypto being backed by silver and gold. And that's something I've said for months that I've heard President Trump is going to do. And he's going to do it. There's no doubt in my mind. And you go back to Saudi Arabia. I'm told by a couple of different people this was unprecedented. What happened in Saudi Arabia never has been done before. They broke like 2 or 3 protocols with President Trump in a good way, going over and above. So I think this is going to be a historic deal, like Bo is talking. There's much deeper than what we're seeing.
This is full-on respect that they gave Trump. Okay, this was incredible, like Pastor Dave was saying. This was an incredible biblical appointment that just transpired, and it's wild. I just love the series of events. But you got to understand, got to study history. When you study history, you'll know what's coming because Kissinger signed that contract with Saudi Arabia. So this happened on June 9th, 1974. This is incredible how these events are all coming to pass. So let's just look at a few bullet points here. So the Kissinger contract occurred specifically June 9th, 1974. So then what happened? Let's further look into this. 50 years go by, June 9th, 2024. This is last year. Saudis exit the petrodollar. They refuse to sign the petrodollar contract. Okay. There's something going on behind the scenes because Saudis didn't want to play ball with America anymore. They pulled the agreement. So the dollar itself, since June 9th, 2024, has been nothing but fiat. It has not been backed by gold. I'm sorry. It has not been backed by oil. Black gold. The U.S. dollar has not been backed by oil since June 9th, 2024. This is critical. This is not just one article. There's like 3 or 4 articles here indicating it, but the world's been silent to this. This is so incredible. There is an interesting thing called Operation Sandman. Yeah. Does something happen? I don't know, but remember, Operation Sandman is an operation where 142 countries in a single day repudiate the U.S. dollar. In other words, they just simply sell. The dollar goes like on a complete sell. They just completely sell the U.S. dollar and it suddenly tanks and it loses the status of the world reserve currency. Now, this would be horrible if Trump was not in office because then they would bring on a one world agenda, a financial system. But Trump's in office and he's just now made buddies with all of Saudi Arabia and the United Emirates. How awesome is this? So in a single day, if anybody they do attack, there's an attack on the dollar to make Trump look bad, Trump's now got basically huge pockets of friends all over the United Emirates. And the timing on this is truly biblical on how all of this is playing out with regards to his arrest and everything else. So I don't know how this is going to play. There's no right exact answer. But the critical thing to know is Trump is there for a reason right now, and he's making, I'm sure there's many private deals that are not discussed right now that are being done behind the scenes. But all of this is to bring on, because Trump knows this is Babylon, the fall of it. They want to control humanity. Trump's in office to do one specific thing, be there for the takedown of Babylon. So when Babylon goes down, Trump is there to rebuild a new financial system like we've talked about. It's not going to be the Federal Reserve System because the Federal Reserve System is the money that they create out of thin air. And so the new financial system is going to be money backed by gold and silver. The honest money system. This is what's about to manifest on the earth. And right now, all the cards are set for this thing to go down here very shortly in the near future. And again, I got to go to prophecies. This is where you want to understand some of the prophecies. It says joy in spring. I'm going to repeat, joy in spring. We're in spring. Spring doesn't end until June 20th. So the prophecy is joy in spring. So gold and silver. Okay, as great as gold's gone up, silver hasn't even made all-time highs yet. Okay, silver's not even breached $50. So understand, we've got Bitcoin over 100,000, you got gold over 3,000, and silver, the most hated metal in the world by the globalists, is still not on new all-time highs. Because why? It's only going to blow and go into new all-time highs with an act of God. Well, guess what's coming? An act of God. That's what's coming. And so, so like Andrew says, talk about a great time to still be buying precious metals. I don't care what the price is because I know what's coming. When God intervenes, silver and gold are going to explode like you can't even imagine. Silver is going to be gapping up in price, dollars per day. It's going to be unstoppable what's about to happen to silver. Biblically, it says damages are sevenfold, okay? So this is coming because it's not my opinion. Pastor David's had many prophets on his show, and they've all referenced that silver is going to go extremely high in price. So, and we're seeing all of these events now come together beautifully, particularly with Trump, being out in the Middle East right now. So we haven't seen a price explosion yet. Gold's only $3,000. I'm telling you, when I say only, I mean only. Gold's going to go to 10,000, 5,000, 10,000 in a heartbeat when God intervenes, okay? When the U.S. dollar gets dethroned, we've listened to the prophetic, okay? You've heard about the three-letter agencies going down. You got P. Diddy right now in trial. These people, and the worst thing is, actually the most obvious thing right now, remember Trump's first term? And Pastor Dave may go from here. But Trump's first term, by this time, the congressional system, everybody was screaming and attacking him. They were doing the impeach. And now, all I'm really hearing, for the most part, is complete silence from the left when you turn your phone, when you turn the TV on YouTube on to see what's going on, because I honestly believe in my heart, they're freaking out. They're looking at plan B, plan C, plan whatever to try to stop this, and nothing's stopping it. This is a train wreck for them about to manifest in their lives. This is going to be the greatest time in history. And again, like we've talked about, the Joel moment, right? The great and terrible day, the greatest day in human history and the worst day in human history. Prophetically, what are you hearing from some of the prophets?
Well, just that, plus, the comms. President Trump always gives us comms. There was a reason everything was in purple when he was in Saudi Arabia. That's royalty in the Bible. And how they treated him was like second to none. And Scavino always tweets something out before President Trump goes there as a comm. And what did he tweet out of all things before they got to Saudi Arabia? Metallica, Sandman, the song.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And I'm just telling you, Operation Sandman is a takedown of the U.S. dollar. Well, that's horrible. Yes, it is, and yes, it isn't, okay? So for a window of time, it's going to be uncomfortable. Unfortunately, it's going to be uncomfortable. But we've got the man in office who's a genius financially to fix things, okay? If there is anybody in office, I always thought the takedown was going to go on the Biden watch, but that was a big mistake, because if it went down the Biden watch, this would have been the rise of the Antichrist system of the one world government. Now the takedown's going on the Trump watch, who just made deals with EU. This is going to be historic. This will be the takedown of Babylon's financial system, the Federal Reserve System. That's why the IRS, all these things are going to soon blow up. And then what happens is a new monetary system, an honest money system backed by gold and silver. And for distance transactions, like Pastor David said, cryptocurrencies will be used for that.
Yep, crypto is coming. It's going to be, again, silver, gold backed. That's another prophetic word Barry Wunsch had. He shared it today on His Glory, how the silver and gold will be backed by real silver and gold, and through crypto, that will be the quantum physics new system. And it's close. And his exact words were, we're going to go into, I think he said chaos, the exact words, chaos, before we come out on the golden age. But the golden age is coming, so we got to be prepared. We'll be right back after this.
Beverly Hills Precious Metals Exchange is a client-focused firm devoted to assisting our clients with precious metals. Our clients range from first-time to serious coin collectors and investors seeking to add precious metals to their investment portfolios. We are not interested in volatile investments, leveraged products, and intangible assets. With rising inflation and the devaluing of the dollar hurting middle-class families, investing in gold and silver ensures protection for your hard-earned money. Save the value of your money today by investing in gold and silver at Beverly Hills Precious Metals.
And we're back with Bo and Andrew. Let's continue with this, with historical, biblical times we're in. As you said in the break, Bo, we don't know what's going to happen next, but they're not going to go down without a fight. There's no way they're going to let President Trump do what he's doing without a fight. You said the Democrats and the evil have been quiet for a while, and they're not going to continue.
Yeah, the thing is, if they've been quiet and they're only trying to figure out what the next step is, because they have to stop this. What was the big agenda? The big plan was to get the United Emirates, get Saudi Arabia, to get everybody to join the BRICS. But it's not happening. And now that respect that they show Trump, that's respect.
Yes.
That's friendship. Okay. That's loyalty. There is no way you're going to have George Soros and all his goon squad show up and have them sign some kind of agreement with a BRICS. It ain't happening. That is not going to happen because Trump's in office. And so right now, this is a wild time point to be watching. And, again, I'm just going back to prophecy. There's a prophecy about Kim Clement stating with regard to China and Russia.
China will endeavor to try and come and rise up against this land and against Israel with a pact that they wish to make with Iran. But there shall be betrayal from Russia that shall make them angry. They shall withdraw. For there shall be another time and a time and a half a time and again a time that shall be given to the saints of the Most High God.
So, Andrew, you were saying that just was a year ago, whatever it was in 2023, Putin was doing the exact same tour, and he was, fist bumping with all the EU leaders, with all the Saudis, and he was, and he was celebrating with them, he was having a great meeting with them. And now Trump's doing the same thing. Well, the Kim Clement prophecy, I've got it here somewhere, but the prophecy goes like this, that Russia will backstab China. Kim Clement stated that. So, because Russia knows that China wants world domination. And so if it continues to go along with the BRICS plan, think about that. China is going to, at some point, do the same thing to Russia. So Russia up front is going to backstab China. And I believe it's going to be on this BRICS deal, and we're going to see, everything suddenly change. And this Operation Sandman, I think it's a real deal. I think it's all going to happen in a single day. The U.S. dollar will be repudiated, means dumped globally, and it will lose the status of the world reserve currency. It's a scary time point. We do have a very interesting time point coming up. We've got Memorial Day. I've studied history, and a lot of times these things tend to happen on long weekends.
Yep.
Just saying. And we've got a long weekend, not this weekend, but next, into Memorial Day, Monday the 26th. And then the calculations from 40 days from Resurrection Sunday still takes us to the next biblical calculation is the 31st of May. Something big is supposed to trigger there, because that will be equivalent to the time point 5 years ago, George Floyd riots, and peace was taken from the earth. Well, the opposite will be peace would be restored. And that'd be interesting if right around that time point something happens with the dollar. I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and watch. But God's on our side. We're on the winning team here. And I just hope people are listening and holding precious metals, because when silver goes, this is important. When silver goes, they look at even right now. Andrew confirmed this. They've been holding silver under $35 forever. We've talked about this probably for the past 6 months to a year of how it always hits 33, 34, 35, and it hits that 35 or 34, and they slam it back down. They can't have it break 35 because they don't want to lose control. And so, again, Bitcoin's on new all-time highs. It's over 100,000. Gold's over $3,000, and yet silver still hasn't made new all-time highs. Why I'm saying this is because this is a bull market. The next thing to go is silver, but when it goes, we've joked about Andrew and we call it a beach day. It's not that Andrew's going to the beach. It's just Andrew and all the gold dealers are going to have nothing to do, because when silver breaks vertical, it's going to be like a move of a lifetime. And it's going to go so fast and so hard that it's going to be sold out all over the internet within a few days. Everywhere in the internet. You're going to go to eBay. You're going to go everywhere where you normally buy silver. Gone, and gone. And it's either gone or people remove it off the websites because it's exploding in price so high. So the actual price of what it's selling for versus what they're going to try to say it's worth is going to be night and day. It won't be able to be received anywhere, and it'll just be sold out pretty much globally within maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, just gone. And so I just implore everybody listening to us, if you haven't got your gold and silver, we're still here and it hasn't exploded yet, and we're in May. And remember, April showers bring May flowers, and then secondly, joy in spring. I'm giving you prophecy. Joy in spring. Something's going to go down really soon here, and I honestly believe, I thought we could have had it here on the 14th today of May, and we don't, but that doesn't change anything, because joy in spring, and God's not going to reveal the day he's going to move. This is going to be biblical, what's going to go down, and this is the takedown of Babylon's money system. This is the biggest secret, one of the biggest secrets in human history. Kim Clement, he's had a prophecy about the planning of this, and he was warned by God not to speak about it publicly. I don't remember if he ever heard that prophecy, but he spoke about, he can't reveal this thing publicly, what they're planning to do with the U.S. dollar, because it's going to be one of the scariest and interesting time points in human history. Andrew, talk about the price of silver and why it's not at new all-time highs.
Oh, silver is definitely being suppressed. In the break, we talked about the current price of gold and silver in relation to the recent highs. So earlier this year, gold was at $3,500 an ounce. Currently, it's at $3,175 an ounce. Silver's been holding steady at roughly $33 an ounce until today. It's sitting at $32.25 per ounce. But what surprises me is to see gold go down 10% and not see silver also drop 10%. That shows that it's resilient, and that the people invest in it believe that value is there. I really feel that silver needs to get past that $35 mark, which we did come close. It was late last year when it hit like $35 or $34.50 an ounce. Once we break that 35, it could really run past 40. And we've seen it. We saw it back in 2011. It went from $35 to $49 an ounce so quickly. And I just wanted to point out a couple of other things, because we've talked about Operation Sandman before. And maybe there's people listening right now that might not know what it is. And what it is it's a concerted effort to dismantle the dollar by dumping U.S. treasuries. And the importance of U.S. treasuries is that that's what truly backs the dollar right now. So other countries that might have weaker currency will invest in U.S. treasury notes, and they know that America is strong, and typically speaking, our dollar is strong. And when it goes up in value, they can sell those treasury notes for a profit. So it's a good, stable place for them to put their money. But it hasn't been so much when they've been talking about BRICS, when other parts of the world know about BRICS more than we do here in America. And BRICS' goal is to de-dollarize the entire globe and go completely digital and have it be gold backed. So it really has been a financial war against the dollar. And this Operation Sandman, if it were to happen, would be the nail in the coffin. And as far as whether or not something like this could actually happen, similar things have happened, not with currencies, but you might have heard of Wall Street bets and what they did back in 2021, I believe it was. And what they did is they did a short squeeze, because all of these big hedge funds were looking at different companies and shorting them. The companies that they thought were kind of going by the wayside, like AMC Theaters was one of them, because people don't really go to a movie theater to see a movie anymore when you can download on Amazon or other places. Or GameStop. You don't go into a mall and go to GameStop and buy a video game anymore. You can download them. So there's certain companies that the younger generation really likes that have been pushed by the wayside by technology, and by the availability to buy these items online and not have to deal with a stack of cassettes like we grew up doing with many other things.
8-track for me.
Yeah, 8 tracks, cassettes, CDs, DVDs. It's like you can't do anything with them. You can't sell them. You just kind of have to toss them. So what Wall Street Bets did, they did what they call a short squeeze, which is really the opposite of what Operation Sandman is, but it just shows the value of what a community could do when they do like an orchestrated effort to move an asset either up or down. What they did was they went online on Reddit, and the group's still there, Wall Street Bets. You can look it up. And they said, today we're going to buy as much GameStop as we can buy. And what they did was GameStop went up so quickly that it hit the stop losses for the different hedge funds, and hedge funds lost billions of dollars. It was a terrible, terrible week. And the stock market had never seen anything like that ever. So if people doubt whether or not Operation Sandman could be fear-mongering or something that conspiracy theorists think could happen, not at all. We've seen it happen, and I just gave you an example. So for me, I want to be protected. Even I always tell people, even if you hate gold and silver and hate the idea of owning a physical asset as part of your investment portfolio, you should have at least 5 to 20% of your portfolio in that asset, even if you don't truly believe in it, because it will provide you the balance necessary so that you can survive tough times and thrive in good times.
Yeah, I'll say with regards to owning precious metals versus your paper money system, Andrew and I have spoken about this many times before. But again, it's not about our opinion. It's literally history. And if you understand history, you can prepare for the future. And history shows that every single money system has ever been created, go back 4,000 or 5,000 years, everything ever made by man, every one of them today are zero, okay? The only thing that still has value is gold and silver for 5,000 years already, okay? Why I'm saying that is because the financial system is nothing but a man-made money system. And right now, if you don't believe the financial system is a total fraud, I'm just telling you, ask yourself why there was never $1 billion or $1 trillion in the 70s, because there wasn't. Okay, there was never $1 trillion. It was the biggest. That wasn't even possible. Say they make money out of thin air, and everybody, please do your homework. They make money out of thin air. Money's created out of thin air. That's what it is. And then when you create it out of thin air, you believe it's money. That's all it is. You believe it's money, but history says that everything made by man financially goes to zero. And not the dollar's going to go to zero overnight, okay? But if you don't have any gold or silver, you don't understand history. And history will prove you your thoughts of all I need is the dollar. History will prove you 100% wrong. Period. History will show that you are 100% wrong. And so again, owning even, 10%, 5%, whatever, having some precious metals is an insurance policy on your finances. No different than having an insurance policy on your car, on your home, on your health, period. And gold and silver is an insurance policy on your finances. And we're living in biblical days. We're seeing historic things going off right now with regards to, the elections, Trump meeting with the Emirates right now, Saudi Arabia. These are biblical things that are happening. And we don't know all the details, but Andrew's 100% right. If Operation Sandman happens, it's a 24-hour window that the world will dump the dollar. And from that day onwards, from that day onwards, you can use probably the dollar still in the U.S., but no other country, this is critical, no other country in the world will accept the U.S. dollar as payment. I'm going to repeat. After Operation Sandman, should it occur, and I believe it will, okay? When Operation Sandman occurs, no nation in the world, so you can travel the world, and no nation in the world will accept your dollar, your U.S. dollar, as payment. And that's why Trump will be in office, to restore a new financial system. And this will be out of the U.S. Treasury, not the Federal Reserve System, which is a private system. The Treasury is from the United States, and that Treasury system Trump is going to back that new Treasury money by gold and silver that's in Fort Knox and in the ground of the United States. And that now will cause the United States financial system to rise and explode like you've never seen before. It'll be the most powerful currency in the world because we have the strongest government, or strongest political and the strongest president in the world. Look at the respect he just got in this, with this incredibly wealthy nation, Saudi Arabia. Total respect. And so the same respect is going to come upon the U.S. dollar when it's the Treasury system that will be backed by gold. And he did say on his opening speech, welcome to the golden age, okay? The golden age includes a new financial system backed by gold, okay? Nothing to do with a Federal Reserve System. So yes, you'll be able to still use your dollars for a window of time, maybe a year, 2, 3, whatever, in the United States because people know, they understand it. But no one globally will accept the U.S. Federal Reserve note for payment. So people, don't be surprised if you get stuck in Europe and you're trying to figure out how to get home because, you've got Federal Reserve notes and no one's taking it. So this is going to be an interesting time point when this goes down. But understand that there's a bigger plan to all of this, and it's to remove the Federal Reserve System because that has been the enslavement system for humanity. That's why with those listening, you say, I don't have enough money to buy gold or silver. Why? Because they took it all from you in taxes, IRS, everything. It's like, good luck if the world even sees 50% of what you make, okay? In some other countries, it's worse. But that's just the understanding of what's happening. Andrew, what are your thoughts? Think about that, right? So Operation Sandman goes down. Think about this, right? No one globally from that day onwards is going to accept the dollar as payment. Think about that.
Yeah, it'll really empower gold. In fact, we've not really talked about Jim Rickards too many times on this show, which we have no affiliation with, don't even know him, but he wrote a famous book called Currency Wars. And he's a former attorney, he's an investment banker, but he's an expert on precious metals. He's not in the precious metals business, but he says that if 40% of the dollars that we've printed out of thin air were to be backed by gold, that 1 ounce of gold would be $27,000 an ounce, like almost overnight. And he actually does the math for it. If you the videos are there on YouTube where he actually breaks down what the math for that would be. And I don't think that it's going to hit 27,000 overnight, but I do think that gold is going to be revalued. And I think that's what we've been seeing. I mean, even with the recent pullback on gold, we're still up something like $500 an ounce on gold. Gold has still almost doubled in price from where it was 4 years ago. So gold has had amazing traction. I think that people aren't going to touch the dollar because it's not backed by anything, but it's not just the dollar, it's the fiat currency of every country out there. And you said something very interesting to me, and I've never really thought about it. You said they took the gold from us. And they literally did, and you might even have a slide for it. But back in 1933, when we were really in the toughest part of the Great Depression, FDR made it illegal for people to own gold. So there was no gold bullion out there back then. I mean, there were bars, but banks had them, and that's how they were able to transfer wealth from bank to bank. But they had $20 gold pieces, $10 gold pieces, $5 gold pieces, $2.50, and even $1 gold pieces. And in 1933, FDR recalled all of that back. He said it's only legal for you to own $100 in face value worth of gold. Everything else has to be turned into the bank by a certain date. So you take your gold, you go to the bank, and they give you a gold note, which I think, Bo, you have one on your desk. I think it's a $10 gold note, and they would only let you float those gold note. The currency, that's it. No more gold coins. So much of the gold that was here in the United States was sent to our relatives of many people that had immigrated here, and it was in Europe until the 1960s. But it was actually illegal to own gold. See, that's a gold note. And if you look in the bottom, it says redeemable for gold coin. It actually says that there. Down toward the bottom. Yeah, it says in gold coin payable to the bearer on demand. Well, in 1933, you could no longer do that. They went to a different note that isn't a gold certificate. So they literally did take the gold away from us. They forced us to go into what would eventually become fiat currency. So it'd be really nice, I think, to be able to go to something that is gold backed. So when you're walking around with cash in your pocket, or if it's digital and you've got digits on your phone, like Bo always says, that they're actually backed by something real. And I do believe that's where we're going. It's more and more when I go places, I could be shopping or be at a restaurant. So many of them don't take cash anymore. Everything's digital. So if we're going digital, why not have it be gold back?
You know, you say $27,000 gold price, right? So I just want people to think about this. Everybody listening, think about this, right? If I told you, Andrew, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 3 years ago, that Bitcoin would be, when it was like $1, $2, and that Bitcoin would be over $100,000, you'd think I'm crazy, right? But yet, and because it was just like 3 years ago, it dropped down to $14,000 in 2022, November, I believe it was, right? So to say that Bitcoin is going to be $100,000, you got to be insane. But it's over $100,000 right now, right? So the point I'm trying to make is never say never, as Trump always says, right? But the point is to think that gold couldn't go to $50,000 or $100,000 an ounce sounds crazy, but yet Bitcoin's trading at over $100,000 right now. So understand, you know, the normals that you perceive to be. We're stepping into a situation when God intervenes, biblical things happen, and the normals that you have in your head, you can throw those out the window. And that's where miracles, signs, and wonders come in, because a part of the great harvest is a great wealth transfer. A part of the great wealth transfer is the great harvest. And Pastor Dave can explain why you need finance for a great harvest.
To reach the people, to reach 1 billion souls, you need the true remnant church needs to have the resources to do that, and that's why God is going to flip this Babylonian system. I don't know of a single prophetic voice that's been on His glory that's not saying what we're talking about. That it's going to be flipped. The Babylonian system's coming down, and God's system's coming up. It will be silver, gold, crypto based. And Andrew said something really enlightening a little bit ago about the banks. The banks are in trouble. They tried to stop crypto, and now it's too late. They're trying to catch up. They'll never catch up. Eric Trump says crypto is 24/7. The key of this whole thing is it's going to be silver and gold backed by this. And that's, I don't know how you value that, because as Bo, you said, our whole lifetime, there's been no silver and gold backed currency. So the value is going to have to be revalued at some point.
Yeah, we've just been taught to believe that all you need is the Federal Reserve note. And this is the problem, okay? Again, when you study hundreds of years, thousands of years, again, I'm going to tell you, please do your history, your homework, and you'll see that every currency goes to zero. Here's the problem. The Federal Reserve System, 1913, that's like 112, 113 years. So it's like, so you've got like 100 plus years, so a couple generations, and you grew up with grandparents. Everybody wanted to have the dollar. And so now it's in your head, hey, if I got the dollar, US dollar, I've got money. And that's the problem, right? It's about the great deception. This is all it is. You believe you have money, but all you've got is digits. And if you don't have an insurance policy, i.e. gold and silver, on those digits, if there's a banking crisis, you can lose everything. And that's what's about to happen, because I'm telling you, when this Operation Sandman thing goes down, okay, banks are going to blow up. It's all based on the treasuries, like Andrew was saying. These treasury instruments are going to blow up. They're going to suddenly lose value overnight. Like, understand, when the bond market implodes, interest rates spike. Let me repeat. When the bond market breaks, there's only one solution. Interest rates spike. You want to see collapse of the real estate? You want to see collapse of the real estate market? That's how it's going to get triggered, okay? So all these prices on real estate, when the bond market blows up via Operation Sandman, that will cause a sudden interest rate spike, and watch what happens afterwards. It's going to be fireworks. And Andrew, actually, Pastor Dave, you've had several prophets. I believe one was on your show specifically stating that when silver blows through $50, welcome to the Jubilee. And that's, remember, Jubilee's 50, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And I go back to Scavino. Scavino is not a prophet, but he does telegraph things. He does things in comms every time. For him to take Metallica, Sandman out of the blue before you go to Saudi Arabia, no, that's planned. And then they have the purple and how they treated President Trump. As you said, Bo, they are definitely working on things behind the scenes.
Yeah, I would say watch next week. I'll leave it here, and then Andrew can go from here, wrap up. But watch next week, okay? If there's a time point where a retaliation, something wicked, crazy happens, okay, or something wild happens, next week's very interesting. Let's just say that on the market, so we could see something very interesting next week, and then following next week, as we head into the end of May. Again, very exciting. So we got Memorial Day. Again, watch weekends of long weekends. Very interesting time points as well. That gives an extra day for chaos to get to happen within the markets. And then that sets the stage for the end of May into June. And June, again, is specifically June is joy in spring. So something's super close. This visit is biblical to Saudi Arabia. And that's like $1 trillion deal that was just set up. So Andrew, can they get silver? Can they go? I know the answer is yes, but how quick is it to deliver? And talk to us a little more about pricing and delivery.
Yeah, the premiums right now are the lowest that they can possibly get. Like, they'll never be any lower than this, because there's so many people that have bought over the last couple of years that have found the need to have to liquidate some of it, and the market's just flooded with gold and silver. It really is. But as we've talked about before, there's really only about 1% to 2% of Americans that can see the value in owning precious metals in their portfolio. If that were to spike to 10%, which really a single event can make that happen, that would make all of the available supply dry up. So it's readily available. It's relatively cheap. We're able to ship within about 1 or 2 days. It's really the fastest that we've ever done it. So we're currently shipping the quickest that we've ever done it. And really, I've been investing in gold and silver since I was a teenager. My first stock trades were back when I was like 12 years old. And I just want to urge to people out there that like now is not the time to get into things like Bitcoin and most of the stocks, because there's a saying in the stock market, buy the rumor, sell the news. And right now the rumor is that we've been given a 90-day reprieve or the other countries have been given a 90-day reprieve here while we try to work out tariff deals. And we've seen the markets go up. We've seen Bitcoin hit almost an all-time high. We've seen, I think NVIDIA is very close to the all-time high. Tesla is at the highest today that it's been in a long time. Most of the Magnificent Seven stocks are almost at their highs. And this isn't the time to get in. American people that are not trained to be full-time traders, they trade emotionally, and they tend to buy high and sell low, which is the opposite of what they should do. So right now is the time to say, okay, I didn't get in on this big stock run up. I didn't get in on the big Bitcoin run up, or maybe you did. This might be a good time to convert some of those profits into precious metals, because we're going to see a lot of people selling when the news hits. When these deals are made with China, when we're able to close them and we're able to charge them more for the tariffs, you would think that would make the market go up. But I think that the profit would already be built in from the rumor part of buy the rumor, sell the news. So I would be very, very cautious.
Suddenly moments are coming. Pastor Dave, wrap it up.
Yeah, IRAs, 401ks, you can put it all with Andrew. So check him out on the Kingdom Economy.